And just wanted to first say, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Trina Truong, pronouns she, her, and I'm one of the teachers here at Pacific Northwest Meditation and one of the co-founders of Pacific Northwest Meditation, founded in May of 2024. And we are a meditation community that really invites everyone to come exactly as you are. So we want to just recognize all the different ways we practice and all of our stories that bring us into the Dharma, the rich complexity and all the different dimensions that make up this fabric of being human, and the experiences that we know are true for us, and also the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha that we know can be verified through our own experience. So I want to welcome you all to the space. And I invite you to just take a moment to, if you haven't already, to just, for those of you online, also taking a moment to say hello to each other. Hi, Edward, welcome. Mm. And then I also see, oh, it's on, Sandra, yes, and Rob, yeah. I just returned from the uh, the rally, and I'm feeling just now finally settling back into my seat, having been in that space and then now transported into this space. And I feel this surge of energy in me right in this moment as I'm present to all of the ways community can be such a source of nourishment and healing. And also, it gives rise to this, or it continues to fuel this faith and this sense that, you know, we have it in us, that faith that we have it in us to make it through these times. And I was just recalling what Nellie shared in last week talk, and our writer Kang Kang alluded to this, was that, you know, even during the Buddha's time, there was a recognition that the world is falling apart. So just recognizing, oh, it's not just now that the world's falling apart. Even then, 2,500 plus years ago, even then the world was falling apart. So in some sense, maybe the world is always falling apart. But what about also considering, where is the world, where are communities coming together? Where are communities coming together in unity, in practicing peace and compassion and loving kindness and joy? So while the world is falling apart, can we still tread this path with care? So Pacific Northwest Meditation here is an inclusive meditation community based in Portland, Oregon, on the unceded lands of the indigenous peoples, including the Confederate tribes of the Grand Ron, Siletz, and many more. Our vision is to foster a diverse community that supports the practice for all who seek to improve their lives through meditation, service, and study of this Buddhist path of peace, compassion, and wisdom. We strive to cultivate this sense of belonging for new and experienced practitioners from the widest range of backgrounds, ages, races, ethnicities, cultures, sexual orientations, gender identities, socioeconomic classes, religion, political views, disabilities, neurodiversities, and beyond. And we aspire to be a contribution to the welfare of our community, our society, and the world by offering a space of belonging and support for all folks in all communities, including underrepresented communities. And we strive to cultivate a beginner's mind that practices deep listening, openness, speaking honestly, and acting with ethical intention to offer diverse Buddhist teachings and activities following a gift economy model. And recognizing that our liberation is connected to each other. And for those of you new to the space, I would like to just remind you that we have a garden out to the side here. So if you're looking for a quiet space, uh, please feel welcome to signal for comfort, or if you're having a hard time hearing me, please let me know online and in person. And there's a bathroom right outside this door, and a water fountain. And for cultivating a space of where everyone feels welcomed, we invite you to use your pronouns when you go into sharing. Pronouns are part of a person's gender expression, and it's a way that we honor all the ways we express ourselves. And if at any point in time, if there's something that I say that might not land with you, I invite you to reach out to me directly and let me know. While I hold the intention to speak with care, I'm still learning. I'm still a student of right speech and right action, right view, right effort. So we are here practicing together in this space. And taking a moment now, I just wanted to take this moment now to also invite us all to get present to what brought you here today. What brought you here? And to come into a place where we are, in a way, protesting too here. We're protesting and resisting against the doing, the busyness of life that is constantly going, going, going. So meditation is, resisting that doing. We're stopping and coming home to ourselves. So going against the stream of society, the currents of how things always already is, are, how things already are, and just to stop, to mindfully stop. So we'll begin here with a lightly guided meditation, and then I will offer a Dharma reflection, and then I will open up the space to invite you to share. But I want to just acknowledge your presence here. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. Let your body know that you are welcome here. Your heart is welcome here. Your emotions are welcomed here. And so as we take a moment to identify, how we want to sit or what posture we want to assume for this 30 minutes, just know that at any point in time you can come out of the practice or change posture. And there isn't one way to sit. Maybe taking off our shoes or turning off the devices just for this time, giving yourself permission to disconnect from all of the communication outside to tune into what is being communicated to you internally through your body, your mind, and noticing what would be supportive for your posture. Do you need a pillow? I'm gonna grab a pillow here. Um, Maybe checking the temperature of the room, of your space, the lighting. Does everyone here want the light to come down, or are you good like this? What do you think? This is good? Okay. Okay, great. A lot of times when we undergo anything, there's sometimes these ways that our body and mind naturally shift to, okay, now I'm gonna do this thing. So now I have to sit a certain way, right? It's like we get into a certain view of what it needs to look like. So what if the way it is to look is based on how it feels right now? So feeling into what your body needs, what feels comfortable, and maybe even inviting in some stretches. So rolling the shoulders or the neck and feeling how the back is. And for those of you in the room, feel free to stretch out. If eventually you want to sit on the floor or lie down, you're welcome to do that also. And for those of you at home too, if you've had a really active day and, you know, cultivating mindfulness feels most supportive in another shape or form, please feel welcome to do that. The intention here is to allow the body to experience a sense of ease. What would that expression of kindness to your body look like right now? And I'll introduce a few anchors, and you can choose an anchor that feels simple or easy to be with. So you might anchor into the breath if the breath is available for you today. Breathing in and out through the nostrils if that feels good. And initially, when we anchor into the breath, maybe we want to breathe a little more deeply and fully. Oftentimes, when we're anxious or not aware, the breath becomes shallow and choppy. And feel that breath energy throughout the body. Notice the rise and fall of the breath in the chest. Feel the belly expand and contract. Maybe hearing the sound of the breath in the back of the throat or as it passes through the nostrils. Notice the cool air entering the nostrils and warm air leaving the nostrils. So this is how we pay attention in this very detailed, simple way. Increasing our sensitivity to this experience of breathing. And if the breath is a wonderful anchor for you, you might choose to stay there. Or maybe choosing to anchor your awareness into the contact points in the body. Feeling the pressure of where the body presses against the chair or the cushion, or where the feet is pressing against the floor or against your shoes. Letting go of any way that you might be holding up your posture. Really allow the body to be held by the surface below you. Notice where the hands are resting. Is there any tension in the hands? Can the hands let go of tension? And another anchor that might be helpful is letting sounds bring you back to the present moment. Sounds outside the window or sounds in the room. Or maybe even just the sound of silence. Tuning into that and feeling the steadiness of that. Or the sound of my voice. So notice if the sound is helpful and supportive, or if it's not, you can turn back to another anchor. But really choosing an anchor that feels supportive, an anchor that maybe even nourishes you to settle further into stillness, that allows you to really be at home with yourself. Calming soothing, restful, and grounding. Mindfulness is recalling that quality of mind that is alert, awake, receptive, and curious. A mind that is kind. So wherever our mind state is now, just by being aware of it, we can then recall where we want to incline towards. Going in the direction of letting go, of softening, of resting. That these thoughts can be here, but there is this quality of awareness that can see the nature of mind, not judging it, not trying to control it or change it. There's this capacity of just witnessing. And the peace comes from that place of being able to witness that inner watchfulness. Checking in to see if there's any possibility to further soften or perhaps to invite in that nourishing breath energy that enlivens you or calms and soothes the nervous system, to come home to be with the breath in the body, to offer whatever kindness you have given out today to yourself now. This kind and loving attention that cares, that is interested in getting to know what's here. What's that felt sense of this heart space? With these last few minutes of practice, I invite you to get in touch with that energy of kindness within you, that energy of determination to practice for your own liberation and for the liberation of all. And the mind rests in that aspiration. That resolve that through this cultivation of mindful awareness, we touch into that peace, that compassion, that wisdom within, that knows how to take care of ourselves in this moment, that knows how to be with whatever's here now. And I'd like to offer a chant in closing our meditation practice. I invite you to allow the words to land in that heart space and notice what arises, what's being moved. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may they, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dharma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Rising from meditation, carrying this energy of awareness with you. So moving in a meditative way, looking with these meditative eyes, and taking a moment to stretch in a way that feels supportive and nourishing for you. Maybe stretching out the legs, maybe standing. We'll take a 5-minute break. And in this time, feel free to stretch and take a bio break or nourish yourself. Or for those of you in the room, mingle with each other. And I'll put also in the chat the link for the dana and the donation. I think there's a sign. There's a sign up there. Kankan for the donation. Sign in that clear box. Okay. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes with the QR code. Like everyone's back mostly. Okay, we're waiting on a few people on Zoom. And just a few announcements before we go into the talk and reflection. Um, I am launching another mindfulness-based stress reduction class. It's an 8-week course for those of you who want to deepen in your mindfulness and meditation practice and how to bring that into daily life. A lot of times it's like when we're here, we really feel that energy of mindfulness and our practice is, it's really good. And then when we leave here and we try to practice at home, maybe sometimes we hit some roadblocks or it becomes more challenging. So in this 8-week course, um, each class is built upon is built one class builds on top of the other, and we go deeper into how to cultivate mindfulness in ordinary activities in life. And this is following the methodology that was designed by John Kabat-Zinn, which he was a Vipassana practitioner and teacher, and it was Zen and Vipassana teacher and practitioner, and he came out of a Vipassana retreat, meditation retreat, and had this huge aha moment that that was how he was going to take his work in the world, livelihood in the world, to create right livelihood, which is to, you know, bring in the research and study of how mindfulness and meditation can improve the quality of our life and can shift our relationship to stress and suffering, emotional pain, chronic, physical, psychological pain in such a way that we can be with these mm, all the experiences of being human in a way that we can continue to stay awake to them, and it helps us to um, feel a sense of alleviation because we are aware rather than forgetful that, oh, this is what it means to be human. Or, oh, I can be with really difficult emotion or unpleasant sensation. And there's this capacity that grows and deepen in being able to be with it. So I invite you to join. Oh, I will put maybe the flyers out at the table for those of you who want to take a flyer. Um, yeah, there's this here, and then there's flyers here. I put them in. Thank you. Um, and then also we have our groups that meet, our affinity groups that meet. The Nero Sangha meets on Tuesday. Their time has changed to 8 to 9 p.m. And the BIPOC group meets on Monday and Sundays. So you'll see that on our website or also on the flyers here. And then we have the Be Queer Now group that meets twice a month on Sunday in the evening. And what else going on? Rob, is there any other announcements? Okay. Yeah, and if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get the updates of who's teaching next. And, we have a newsletter that's really lovely with Dharma talks of the past and or talks that you might have missed last time, and a reflection from our lovely, talented writer, Kang now. And also next week we have David Sudar coming. He's a meditation teacher who at one point was a monk. So he'll be here in the teacher seat, practice of awareness. And please come in person or online. And, it's very special when we have these teachers come because our mission is to bring in diverse um, ways the Dharma is being expressed through many different um, intentions and ways that you might connect to. And so that is one of our mission is diverse teachings and diverse voices of the teachings. And it's mostly rooted in the Vipassana insight Theravada tradition, but we also bring in Zen, Tibetan, Chan, and all the ways that meditation and the Buddha's teachings are expressed. Yeah. Hi, Rob. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if can you hear me okay?
Yes. Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was just going to say that we're going to raise our profile just a tiny bit, and we will probably start posting some one-page uh, sheets that basically summarize all the different programs that we have that meet monthly, biweekly, weekly, daily. And if you have a place in mind that we could post some of these notices, um, that would be most helpful to get those suggestions either into the chat or talk to Trina afterwards. We're going to target college campuses and maybe coffee shops, yoga studios, but we'd love to hear your suggestions as well.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, and we're starting up a couple of groups. One is going to be in the Lake Oswego, Westland area, a sitting group out there. And then another one that I'm working on that will be probably during the week somewhere in Portland. So maybe in the Pearl District. Um, so for those of you who are interested in uh, being an organizer or co-organizing and supporting these groups with me or with um, our members like Rob and Elowen, please feel welcome to contact us at PNWM community at gmail.com, or you can reach out to me here directly or leave your email in the chat. And oh, I didn't mention, I'll put for those of you online, everyone here received those flyers that Rob is referring to with the different groups. But for those of you online, I'm also going to give you the page if you want to sign up for the mindfulness-based stress reduction class that begins on November 11th, meeting every Tuesday evening, and we end on December 30th. So that'll be a good end of the year, anchoring into the practice before you start out your 2026. Yeah. And Margaret, yes, I see you have your hand up.
Well, Trina, I just wanted to ask, now, will the formation of the Lake Oswego group and the Pearl group be in the newsletter?
Yes, they will be in the newsletter once they're formed. Are you asking about just the development of it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, thank you for bringing that up. I think we have a few volunteers here who are part of making the newsletter. So please take note. And
Yeah.
so I see the head nod. So yes, we'll get the formation of those group onto the newsletter to share with everyone. Thank you for.
That sounds great, sure. And one more thing, I've forgotten the name of the recitation that we just did a little while ago.
Yeah. That was called the sharing of merits and aspirations.
Yes,
I'm going
thank you.
you're welcome. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can have a copy of that. And for those of you here, if you send me an email, I can give you a copy of that. Just send it to Trina at wakeuptogether.org and I can give you a copy of that chant. Um,
Thank you.
you're so welcome. And I'll drop it in the chat here. Sharing of merits and aspiration. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the chat is disabled. So you're not able to chat with each other, is that right? Yeah, we'll have to correct this so that you all can connect with each other as you may want to. Yeah, so today it looks like I won't be able because the Zoom room already started, the meeting started already, but we'll make a note of making the chat available for everyone to chat with each other. And then also, yeah, I'll just put in the link for Dana. We are a 501(c)(3), so all of our offerings with our Saturday Sangha and our weekly groups are based on a Dana model, which means, we don't follow the transactional model of, you pay for the service and then you get it. And so with this, there's a suggested donation of, $10 to $15 or donate what you can to support the ongoing mission and effort of our cause here to be a space of refuge for those that come to experience community and practice together. Um, or even, Dana could come in the form of offering your skill or volunteering. So to help us set up with the technology, the AV, or how to help us bring this teaching and this message and exposure of this group out into the world or into the areas that you are often in. So who could you share this with? And that too is also a very noble gift of dana. The word means generosity. Thich Nhat Hanh says that the highest form of dana we can give to anyone is the dana of fearlessness. So giving someone the gift of fearlessness, and now more than ever in the state of our time right now, how many people do we know is suffering due to just the fear, the anxiety of what is here and what is to come, what might be. So how could that gift be shared with others for them to know of the practice, the teachings, for there to be spaces like this where people can take refuge in so that when we do go back out into the world and in our workplaces, our home life, our circles, that we can, like the chant says, that our practice can be like an offering. The merits of our practice can be an offering for others, for our family, our friends, our different communities and networks. So I'm present to that today too, as I was on my way to uh, this this protest. I was reflecting on what it means to offer my presence, to bring my presence to the space, and what is it that am I offering into the collective? What are we offering into the collective when we go into uh, these places? Or so our practice is really kind of like the foundation that helps shape our speaking, our action, and our thoughts. And can our practice, you know, um, contain that stability and peace that can support others and can generate and add to the collective need for stability or peace or compassion. This morning, when one of our meditators in Wake Up Together was talking about making a sign for today's march, and this person was sharing about um, the sign that they had created, and upon having sat in meditation in our morning group, and upon the Dharma reflection that I gave, and feeling that, being in touch with that heart space, that loving kindness within, they said that they're going to get rid of the sign that they make and make a new one. And they felt that their sign had just too many, no, 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 stop, don't do this. And so as they got in touch with this inner quality of kindness, of goodness, was, well, now what is that messaging? What stems out from there? And the sign was of kindness, kindness matters. And that was the one that came from the heart, right? So we can think about when we come from the heart, when we're in touch with that goodness within, how it reshapes our speaking, how it shapes our thoughts, our view, and our speech, our communication, our action, and how that adds the collective consciousness, the collective energy. And so when I think of this notion of like right action, what's the right action to take, whether it's through what's going on politically in our city here in Portland, with, seeing our immigrant friends in a state of distress, this distraught or of fear, of anxiety. What are we to do? What can we do? What's the right thing to do? And so I think that's going to be unique for each one of us, what that is. And when we come home to ourselves and touch into that heart space, we get in touch with what is the wisdom within us telling us is the right effort based on the resources we have and the capacity we have. And then our practice too, we can lean into our practice, that our practice knows how to turn towards goodness, how to add to this collective awakening. And so right action is the second step on the Noble Eightfold Path. And before right action, there is right view, right? So we must have the right view so that then we can produce the right action. And that right view is grounded in, seeing from the eyes of compassion and kindness. So when going back to that example of, even creating a sign, right? When our heart is open and warm and our mind is clear, our view changes. Our view is one of care, is one of understanding, is one that sees suffering and sees wrongdoing, but is free of judgment. So the intention behind our action now is shaped by this view. And I'm using the word right, but the Pali word is sama, and it could mean skillful view or supportive, appropriate view. So having the appropriate view that leads to the appropriate action, or that leads to that action that is serving and supportive, not just for us, but for all. So even noticing how mindfulness can be there with us when we are creating a sign. You know, when I write these words on this poster, what does it do to me? Do I feel a hardening of the shell, contraction, a make wrong? You know, a bit of this anger, upset. And how do I transform that sadness, that anger, that worry, that concern and care, you know, towards love and protection? And I'll admit that it hasn't been easy for me in this last month and a half, because I've been in Chicago for a while too, where it's kind of the ground zero of a lot of things that's been going on. And a number of my friends are deeply impacted by this. And I could see how much fear they're living in. And I'm living with them in this time and seeing their day-to-day life being affected by it. And so on one side, you know, I'm carrying the hurt, the sadness, that feeling of, you know, carrying their feeling of powerlessness and having to stay more invisible than ever. And then on the other side, leaning into my practice to cultivate this energy that, you know, could perhaps at times when it's there, offer that gift of fearlessness to them. And when I'm in touch with my fear, I have to work with my fear to transform my fear into faith, into, you know, connection and community and loving kindness and compassion. And then using that energy then to share that with those who are in need of it. So part of the in the four right efforts in what the Buddha taught is that, you know, so we're working to dissolve those unwholesome states within us before we can offer ourselves to others, our practice to others. So part of our practice is to work through those unwholesome qualities of mind and then working in turns to transform them, to calm and soothe them, to pacify them, tranquilize them. And then the qualities that are already there that are of loving kindness, of compassion, of joy, of goodness, right? We keep watering those, keep adding to that. And then continuing to give rise to that. Let it multiply. You know, double down on it, especially during this time. And then continue to use mindfulness to watch closely, that inner watchfulness, that continue to scan our mind for and our hearts for where we're, you know, contracting, where we're closing up, or we're hardening, where there's fear or anxiety that lives within that needs our attention and needs to be tended to and cared for. So that when we do step out into the world and we offer to the collective energy, this energy of mindfulness that cares deeply. And so this, you know, this begins with us in our own practice. And today, and when I was at the rally, one of the couple things that really I was so touched by was, you know, when the speaker would say, you know, who's going to keep you safe? You know, we are going to keep ourselves safe. not someone somewhere else out there we're relying on, but that we create safety for ourselves. We can trust in that. We can lean into that, that we have the capacity to create safety for ourselves. And nothing and no one can have us feel unsafe. It's radical because on the other side of that, it is that no one can make us feel unsafe because safety is here. The sense of safety is I feel that within me. And that's through the practice of metta, of loving kindness, that one, no matter where a person goes, there's this feeling of being safe and secured. That's in the sutra on the highest blessing. That's a blessing that we can create and cultivate, so that no matter where I go, there's a sense of feeling safe and secure. And so today's, message was, again, it was a reminder. So, who's going to keep us safe? We are. That's a beautiful Dharma message. We are. It's within us. It's through us that we create the safety. And this collective energy of us all coming together in community, we create safety for ourselves and for each other. And if I think of that story about the two acrobats that are getting ready to go out and perform, and then the older acrobat said to the younger one, "Okay, when we go out there, um, you're gonna keep balance for me, and I'm gonna keep balance for you, okay?" And then the younger acrobat looked at the older one and said, "No, no, no, no. When we go out there, you keep balance for you, and I'll keep balance for me." So if we each keep ourselves safe, this is how we add to that safety, that feeling of being safe and secure. I had a friend who's an environmentalist, and they'll go out on these really unknown sites, and how the team creates safety for each other is that if the person realizes they're not equipped for this mission that they're on, this is how they are responsible to the safety of everyone, is to say, "I don't think I can continue," or "I'm not equipped for this trip," as we venture out into the wilderness. By them being aware, by one person being aware, is what can support the safety and well-being for everyone in their team. But I want to go back to this notion of right action or skillful action. Oh, I have a sign here. So my dear friend Jenny made a sign for me when I went out there. Will you grab that right there, right behind the chair? See, so see if I could pull this back. But this was the message that I carry. So this is a calligraphy from Tityakan, so this is where it was taken from. Peace in oneself, peace in the world. And I have a bigger version of this that I created as I was practicing the Zen calligraphy, the brush calligraphy. And I was really moved through the years of practicing meditation and feeling this sense of despair and at times helplessness, because I witnessed so much atrocity and pain and suffering with those closest to me, and then on the news and in so many places. And it was in some moments that I realized, like, if I really want there to be peace in the lives around me, it just dawned upon me that it begins with me and my practice. And so I was so inspired. I did a huge uh, piece of this: peace in oneself, peace in the world. And every day I looked at it when I feel a sense of despair, when I feel like everything around me is falling apart, or things are not going the way I want it to be, or people were not making the changes or that I'd like to see. I came back to remembering, come back to your practice, come back to finding peace within. And then that is what is offered. That is the merit that we cultivate in our practice. And that's also an aspiration that we can live into. That aspiration of, and that's a whole life journey of an aspiration to continue to really stay at peace and find peace. And so when we, even reflect on these words, what does it do when you feel into that message? Right? What does it invoke inside the heart space? What does it do to the nervous system? And when we think of appropriate action, we can also look towards this action. If I look back on it 2 years from now, 10 years from now, will I still think that it's appropriate? Right? With my teachers, with my wise friend, consider this action an appropriate action, a skillful action. And action, by that I also mean words and communications. Is this free of blame? Is it something that I could look back and say, yes, that was really appropriate? It still applies. It's timeless. And it takes effort. Action, on the other side of the word action, there's effort. It takes effort to resist how things are, to resist, this upside down world. And I'll share a couple lines from uh, what was written, an article by Maricela Gomez about this article on resist, maladjust, and defy. And she says here that resisting is not futile, it is necessary. We have been resisting for a while now. All of us who practice mindfulness have been resisting this upside down world. Those of us who gather together to practice in community, who build sanghas or communities of practice, we continue to resist. Zen master Thich Khan, he lived and practiced during the war in Vietnam. And his life shows us how to resist war. And however that resistance might look for us in whatever form. Maybe it's just working with our own internal state today. Maybe it's just within our family. Maybe it's just within our relationships. Maybe it's within a corner and a street that we were out on, surrounded by people today. Or just a walk in the park with a dog, however we practice that. The purpose, as Tai writes, the purpose of resistance here is to seek the healing of yourself in order to be able to see clearly. So as I mentioned earlier, when we first began, is by us being here, we are resisting the doing, the busyness, the habitual patterns that continue to, at times, pull us away from a sense of well-being or feeling whole and complete. Like because there's something wrong, so we have to do before we feel complete, before we feel like we're okay or enough. And so this practice of resistance here is actually a coming home to ourselves. It's coming home to heal ourselves. And this form of resistance is paving the way for us to be able to see clearly again. And for me today, it was coming into that stream, that current of resistance as I was on this walk, this march, it was like a seeing clearly, oh, community is still alive here. Kindness and compassion and joy is still alive here. I got to see it clearly. I'm not reading it in some remote place, right? Or hearing about it, what's really happening. I'm not in another state or another country receiving news, whatever news that might be. But it's stepping into that stream and going against the current of how things have been to be able to see clearly that community can still practice peacefully, peaceful protest, peaceful demonstration of this stop, right? It's like saying stop, but in a very peaceful, powerful, and joyful way. You know, when we think about when in the past or even now when you need to say stop to something or someone or some habits within yourself, how could you say stop in such a way that is an expression of, comes from a place of kindness? It's supporting the goodness that's on the other side. If you could stop, if you can really be that, bring forth that force that says stop. And so in skillful action, you know, our speech can be one that is really effective, but also, again, not hardening up, not contracting, but still inside of that strong force. There's still something refreshing and wholesome about that message. I'd like to share the mindfulness training from the Plum Village tradition. This is the trainings that the lay practitioners who want to ordain in the Plum Village tradition would undertake, and also the monks and nuns in the tradition. And it's like these are guidelines, and they are the torch lighting the path that we're on. And it's like the boat that carries us. It's like the teacher that guides us. And these trainings allow us to touch the nature of interbeing in everything that is, and to see that our happiness is not separate from the happiness of others. And that this concept, this teaching of interbeing can be realized and directly experienced by us when we practice with these mindfulness trainings. And it helps us to cultivate concentration, the settling of the mind and the body, and gives rise to insight, right? And we have to stop first, then to become aware and to settle the heart and the mind and the body. And when that is settled, the heart is open, the mind is clear, insights arises, that clarity about the nature of what do I do? What do I say? How do I respond to this? How do I add into the collective consciousness with my practice? And this insight frees us from fear and the illusion of a separate self. So I'd like to share, this is the 8th mindfulness training, true community and communication. Aware that lack of communication always brings separation and suffering. We are committed to training ourselves in the practice of compassionate listening and loving speech, knowing that true community is rooted in inclusiveness and in the concrete practice of the harmony of views, thinking, and speech. So, what are the qualities that make up a true community? It's rooted in inclusiveness, and we are practicing in a very concrete way, having that there's a harmony of views, harmony of our thinking and our speech. And so we practice to share our understanding and experiences with members in our community in order to arrive at a collective insight. How beautiful is that? It's not, people sitting in a boardroom trying to put together a plan of what true community is. It's this through this direct practice of compassionate listening and loving speech. So even as we're forming these groups, these sitting groups, that the practice is to practice deep listening and compassionate loving speech as we carry out these wonderful plans and causes in the world. That's still at the root of our practice. We are determined to learn to listen deeply without judgment or reacting. And if we do, I would say, then just observe that. It's like, oh, I'm judging, I'm reacting. I can just be here to feel that, observe that, know that that's what's occurring in me right now. And refrain from uttering words that can create discord or cause the community to break. So mindfulness helps us here to scan and pick up where we might be putting out actions or words or messages that can cause discord or fear or anxiety, that can cause some hearts to close up, some shells to harden up. And we can see this really directly in relationships, in our closest relationship too. If I say this, I know how that person's going to respond. If I say this, there's now an opening, an invitation, a shift in what could be here in the space between us. So whenever difficulties arise, we will remain in our Sangha and practice looking deeply into ourselves and others to recognize all the causes and conditions, including all of our own habit energies that have brought about the difficulties. So, I feel like even like in relationship, it's like this, right? So when a difficulty arises, remain, stay, in contact, stay together. Don't flee, don't avoid, don't leave, don't isolate. Remain in our Sangha and practice looking deeply. Practice looking deeply into ourselves. So not at the other person, but for each of us, look deeply into ourselves to see what gives rise to this reaction, to this impulse of wanting to say this, to this judgment. So while we're reframing, that's what we're doing. We're really like feeling into that. What causes, what conditions has me interpret this in this way or want to say these things or see it in this light? And we can also get present to our habit energies and how that has brought about the difficulty. We will take responsibility for the ways we have contributed to conflict and keep communication open. We will not behave as a victim, but be active in finding ways to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. We have a major one here, so a major conflict here. And today what I saw was just so much courage and faith and the way that everyone came together across so many different intersectionalities and dimensions of beings coming together to resolve this issue, this crisis, and all the communities that are formed online and in homes and in places and spaces. So I just love the conviction in this 8th mindfulness training of the 14 mindfulness training is through this direct practice of looking deeply within us and checking our view, correcting our view and our speech before we put it out there. And also that conviction, aditana, that's the Pali word, that conviction, that determination that we will actively find ways to bring forth the change, the resolution, to the conflicts that we are seeing and experiencing. So this is the aspect about Buddhism that is not passive, right? We just don't sit around and meditate and just isolate and disconnect from the world. That there's this high level of engagement with what's going on, but it's like we're practicing internally, but then now we're offering whatever goodness we've cultivated internally back out into our society, into our community, into our relationships, our workplaces, into the world. So it's a practice from within and also without, and how our practice from within can be now offered out. And then we take in the suffering of the world and of all things we see around us. And then we work with that within, practice it, transform it. And then now we offer the merits of our practice outward. Carrying with us this aspiration, of peace, of truth, of compassion, of love, of justice. That we don't freeze because the world's falling apart, but we continue to tread on the path with care, with mindfulness. So that's the part of the practice that's very active, is this. And even in our meditation, you know, sometimes it's like if we find ourselves in a sedated state and we feel chilled afterwards, that's good. But really, the deeper work comes in when we're experiencing the challenges in our sits and it's rough. That's where, now we have something to sharpen our knife with. That's where now we're actively working with these, mental formation and internal formation, these knots that are there and they are being seen through awareness. And that's where the practice becomes really active, because it is active, but it's on a very subtle level, very subtle level. We're not doing, but the active part is being awake and attentive to it, moment by moment, moment by moment, and then working to, you know, guard off those obsessive states of mind, the rumination, the memory, the part of us that's like, oh, this feels good. I just want to stay here longer. It's like, nope, nope, come back, and then, or the part of us that avoids, but how can we find that place that we can lean into where we can remain actively engaged, but also kind of um, detached at the same time, so that we can continue to remain stable in our awareness. So I think I will pause there. Rob, do you mind? I'm gonna see if there's a one more part to this, and then I'll have you share. Um, Actually, we'll go into the sharing because there's only a few minutes left. So I'll save this next part for another talk. Yes, Rob.
So I think what you were discussing really struck a chord for me that I never really appreciated about engaged Buddhism. I've seen one of the TV shows, the commentary that I watch, and they say, don't 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 watch what they say. Don't pay attention to what they say. Pay attention to what they do. And I realized that that's a really, that's not just a warning about politicians. It's a wonderful reminder of our practice. And I will I will do more than watch my mind and watch my awareness, but also check my intention and watch my actions. So thank you for that lesson.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, Rob. Mm. You just summarize everything in just a few words right there. So concisely. Anyone else with anything you'd like to share? And for those of you in the room, there's a mic here. We flip the switch on so that everyone in the room can hear you. And if you can share your name and your pronouns if you'd like. Kang, was there something you wanted to share? I saw it. It was at the tip of your tongue. And please turn the mic on. Yeah.
Kang Kang, she, her. I could share something. It's not. It's somewhat related. So I was hoping to go to the rally today, but I had like there's we had like my husband had a night shift, and so I ended up just going to an appointment and doing yard work in the afternoon. And when I was doing that, I heard this bump, and I didn't, I just kind of ignored it. And then, like, I think 20 minutes later, I turned around and there's this little bird ran into my window, which was like bad. I meant to put up the decal for, I've always heard of that. It's never actually happened to me. And I've never had that happen to me. So like I thought it was dead at first, and I was it felt when I look into when I actually turn on the self-awareness, I'll be honest and say like the first thing I really felt was like fear. It was because that's a very, it's a very disturbing scene, like little feet like up, and I also think it's one of the little dark-eyed junco adolescent birds from this nest that that was built in one of my trees. So it was very heartbreaking. And then I realized the chest was rising and falling. And so then I got into this debate, like, what do I do? I don't, and then once again, honesty, I was thinking like, I really don't want to be touching, like, and then I think the first thing was like, do I have any gloves? Like, no. But so I ended up, I hurried back into the kitchen and like grabbed the little box and lined it up and just used my hand to scoop the little bird up. And I realized it was very much alive. I think it was just stunned. So it would call the Oregon bird. I quickly Googled, and the Oregon Bird Alliance came up. So I called them, and they said to basically do the exact thing I just did and like wait for an hour, see if it flies away. And it did after another hour and a half or so. So I felt it felt very meaningful because it was I did have to overcome some of my own fear, and just this very like I think primal like textile, touching the feather, and it's touching something that is injured, that you don't know. I think it's, it's yeah, it's not completely pleasant, right? But I think what overcome with that was like I really can't watch it suffer without doing anything. And it also, the second thing I thought of was feeling like I did do something real, and it just so happened. It was complete chance. I was thinking if I had gone somewhere, and come back, maybe I wouldn't be able to help that bird. Just
Sorry, sure what happened.
anyway, I just wanted to share that. It was the right action, or the upright action. It's a very small action, and I think the baby bird probably would have been okay, even if I didn't do the action. But it just it felt meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it was an opportunity for you to see your practice at play, and what I really appreciate about Kang Kang's share, that story, is that, you know, compassion, when it arose, was what took care of fear and allow that action now to do what is most skillful and kind and loving and true to how we really want to show up, right? How we really want to be in those moments. And we have to stay with the fear long enough, but also be mindful and be able to call it by its name, and tend to it and see, and then work with these heart qualities, these balms of compassion and loving kindness, of generosity, of getting to that place of equanimity, letting the fear subside. And then also feeling the joy in that moment where, we get to take care of another living being, that we get to be in that place to offer our support, to contribute to the life of another, or to the well-being or safety of another, or for our community, or for the stand that we have for our country, whatever that might be for us in small, big ways. This is still the practice can be applied, and you could see it, the way it expands out in so many different areas and issues and matters of our life. Well, thank you everyone for being here. If you feel like you didn't get a chance to um, give voice to this matter, you can send me an email for those of you online, or schedule time with me if you want to. There's something that's coming up for you that you want to reflect a little more on. And I'll be here for, another 15 minutes in person as we put things away. But thank you everyone for coming together in community today. It's your presence that shape community. Together, it's all of us that makes this space possible. So I am really happy that you came and that we're here together to bring these teachings to life through our own practice in this time, through your deep listening, through your sharing, and the ways that you contribute into this space with your presence. May we continue to practice mindful resistance and moving and efforting against the stream of how things have been, and maybe add to the collective energy with our energy of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. So I wish you much success in this journey. And please come next week for David Sudar. I send you off with love and care. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Please go in peace. And for everyone on Zoom, if you'd like to unmute yourself to say goodbye, you can do so. And everyone in the room here will see you and hear you. Waving hands.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Good night, everyone. Ready for takeoff to infinity and